should be obvious enough for anybody out there, and not surprising, but really, it is kind of surprising how often we're seeing this repetition of all-seeing eye symbolism and the majority of society still not waking up to what's actually going on in our world. But The Death of Slim Shady from Eminem is the newest album, and I covered some of the trailers and the teasers as well as the song and music video Houdini, which is about a 33rd degree Freemason, and of course, all about magic, which is really what we're seeing in front of our eyes. These people spellcasting on society, these people that we're supposed to believe are famous because of their talents, were only famous because they're all members of the same secret societies, and their job is to influence society's behavior, and that's what you've seen go on over the last 100 years or so since the television has come out, and now more than ever, these demons like Eminem have influenced our society so much so that you walk around and you see people, and you realize, wow, a lot of these people are on autopilot. A lot of these people don't even seem human anymore. You can thank people like Eminem for it. But let's start with the obvious here, right? I mean, they're really trying to get creative, I guess, with the all-seeing eye symbols, because they have Eminem in a body bag, which is a blessing, but they have Eminem in a body bag. Of course, we could all look at, like I talked about earlier in a previous video, the cloning of Eminem, and a lot of the symbolism with the real Eminem already being dead, but that's in a previous video. I won't go into detail about that. But look at just the obvious here, right? All-seeing eye symbolism from Eminem, and they don't expect you to see the repetition in the pattern, you know? They don't expect you to see things like, maybe all these collages out there of every single person that we know of who is famous putting a hand over their eye, or putting an A-OK sign over their eye, which is really a 666 sign for anybody out there that's new to all of this. And of course, they just do it over and over and over again, but they don't expect you to see the pattern of them magazine covers are doing prominent shoots on runways or on red carpet events where they're just putting their hand over their eye. Now you gotta think to yourself, is this something that you do at your home? Where you're taking a photo with mom or dad or your kids or your boyfriend or girlfriend? Now, I'm sure at this stage there are people who are simulating this because that's how this whole thing works. Monkey see, monkey do. That's why you see a lot of the behavior on social media where people are taking pictures of their food, they're taking pictures of themselves wherever they go. In fact, they're being trained to be more interested in the photography of what they can show off of themselves than they are actually living in real time. But nonetheless, this is all staged, obviously. This is all deliberate posing of all-seeing eye symbolism. And again, this goes back to the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, the eye of providence. You can see the eye on the back of your dollar bill. For anybody out there that thinks it's some type of giant conspiracy, well, they never really tell you what the eyeball and the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill are. What do you think? All of these celebrities are just fans of the dollar bill? Is that what we're supposed to believe? That all these people keep putting one eye up, they just love money and they love specifically the dollar, that they just constantly put their hand over there? Of course, that's not true. If you look into secret societies and Freemasonry, you will see the same exact symbolism, right? The black and white Masonic checkerboard floor. Of course, the compass, the Masonic compass, and you always see the eyeball associated with that Masonic compass in Freemasonry. That's because these are all members of the same secret societies. Now, a lot of them are higher up than just Freemasons, but it starts at a Freemasonic level. That's how they infiltrate your towns across the world. There are Freemason lodges in every single town. If there's not one in your town, there's one in the town next to you. You've never even noticed it, but guess what? Drive down a highway, you'll see signs for the Freemasonic lodges. You'll see signs for all of the Masonic lodges, Eastern Star lodges. Why? Well, when these people travel, they know where to go. They network in their secret societies wherever they are. Whenever they're out of town, they go and they stop into a Masonic lodge. And what is the common theme in these Freemasonic lodges? Well, world domination, New World Order, I should say. And of course, the fact that once you are elevated in Freemasonry, you reach a certain degree, you learn that Lucifer is God, and that is who they worship. So Eminem, no surprise here. Anybody want to tell them, hey, you've done a lot of this symbolism with, putting your finger in your eye when you wiping an eye booger, or playing peekaboo with your hand over your eye. And again, Eminem does this all the time, right in plain sight. Right? We've seen Eminem do the 666 over his eye in his music videos. We've seen Eminem, again, one of the most common ones that nobody talks about is they think that these guys are rugged and they're being intimidated, or they're fans of horror movies. They show you their baptism in the occult, their baptism in Satanism when they sit in these bloodbaths. Right? We've seen Eminem sitting in the bloodbath, and nobody thinks anything of it. They think that these guys are real rugged, they have street cred, like they're in a gang. These guys couldn't be more soft in a sense. I mean, these people are not who they portray, obviously, in their music videos, but this is them showing you who they really are. Eminem is in a bathtub of blood because Eminem is baptized in Satanism. Like Christians are baptized in water, so to speak. A lot of Christians go and have their baptisms in water, right? Satanists are baptized in blood. So Eminem showing you who he worships, right? I just covered this song recently, this trailer, I should say, for his album, which I'm about to get into, where they showed the birth of the Antichrist, right? Eminem, of course, always holding up the devil horns. We've seen Eminem demonically possessed with the black goo and the black eyes. In fact, we've even had Eminem rap about this, and nobody's suspicious, which I covered before. I just put this video back up, or up over on the website that I found from a while ago. But here's Eminem just talking about, letting the devil in. Right, so do you see the common theme here with an obsession with the devil, an obsession with Lucifer, this obsession with eyeballs that you see with Hollywood, this obsession with the devil, okay? And if you don't see it yet, well, let me just show you two of the names of the songs that are on his new album, because he just released the names of the songs and put the tracks without music videos yet, and I'll be covering the music videos, because I'm sure they'll be filled with stuff, because two of the songs are called Lucifer and Antichrist. Is that enough for anybody out there yet? To see that these people not only worship the devil, they're not trolling, they're grooming you. They're grooming Antichrist behavior, they're grooming Luciferian behavior, making you like the things that you like, making you think the way that you think, right? If you actually go through and read the Bible, you'll see that a lot of things that are being normalized and promoted in this world are the opposite of what God tells us to do and the way that God tells us to live. So what they do, and the occult people like Eminem, and really they're handlers, because Eminem isn't writing this stuff. Eminem isn't really, he's just a pawn for handlers who do all this stuff, and then he pushes it out. He's the influencer. But what they do in the occult is they read the Bible too, but they read it backwards. Now, I don't mean they open it at the back of the book and go the opposite direction. They read the Bible as if everything that God forbids that they should do, because they worship the devil. So all of God's rules, all of God's laws, they defile. They go against it. Now they're trying to normalize that on a mass scale. So in other words, when they're baptized in Satanism, they're supposed to denounce Christ, which they do. They're given a wheel and they break it down and make the peace sign, but they also break every one of the 10 commandments. They break all of them, including murder, okay? And everything you see being normalized, like these agendas with people wearing the opposite clothing, with the LG, all of this stuff is in opposition of God. They're creating an army without these people even realizing it that is in opposition of everything that God forbids here on earth. They're creating a society, obviously, of Satan. So if you actually look at the lyrics of his song Lucifer and Antichrist, he goes on to talk about how his mom birthed the spawn of Lucifer. He goes on in Antichrist to refer to himself as the Antichrist. He says Marshall is the Antichrist. He's the Antichrist. He even goes on to talk about this formulated behavior that you see a lot of these celebrities. They manufacture this behavior, right? So some of the lyrics are how Eminem is being censored on TikTok. Now, is that true? Of course not. You think Eminem or any celebrities are censored? They're nowhere even near censored. This is to normalize censorship. He talks about being censored on TikTok because even people who aren't conspiracy theorists are being censored. And we're all allowing this and putting up with this. And a lot of the lyrics of the music is just making this normal, where we're supposed to speak, oh yeah, I'm censored on TikTok. Oh yeah, I'm censored on YouTube. Oh yeah, I'm censored on Facebook. Well, what should be happening is people should be rising up against big tech. And if you can't rise up against big tech, then you remove yourself from the internet. You remove yourself from technology instead of giving the power to them and allowing them to censor it. But they're making it normal. And he raps about that in his music as if he's actually censored. Nobody thinks about that, right? He's rapping about how he's banned off of TikTok, how he's getting, Eminem isn't getting banned from any platform, right? So then why is he rapping about it? Because he's telling you, you're going to be banned. You are banned, right? Because people out there are getting banned left and right. Not just people like me, but people out there who have any opinion on stuff that they're not allowed to have an opinion on. And we're supposed to just accept this behavior. When they rap about stuff like that, it ingrains it in your head that this is just the way it is. And it shouldn't be the way that it is. He even goes on to rap about Candace Owens. For anybody out there that wonders about Candace Owens, people go, oh, is Candace Owens one of them? Candace Owens broke away. Okay, they're all of these people who are not censored, who don't have to restart channels, who don't have to rename themselves, who are promoted, who are on Fox News or any of these stations, they're all compromised. That's just the way it is, and people out there don't want to realize it. I'm not saying that I'm the only one out there that isn't one of them. There's plenty of YouTubers out there that aren't, a part of the gang. Guess what? You probably haven't heard of them for a reason. Anybody out there that made a following over the years for exposing this stuff is gone. And the people who are gone, you should look and say, oh, I guess they were pretty credible because they're not allowed to speak anymore. And if they do, they have to rebrand themselves so nobody can find them. Candace Owens is being rapped about in the entire song Antichrist, talking about MAGA, talking about Candace Owens, working into this left-right divide with black and white, and how Candace Owens is, who's also associated with Kanye West, which should tell people all they need to know, but talking about, how Candace Owens is against the Black Lives Matters movement, right? And this is just more honey trap stuff. You wouldn't be rapping about Candace Owens if Candace Owens wasn't a part of the game here, a part of the plan, the left-right paradigm. I get it. And I've seen what a lot of people have shown me over the years with Candace Owens, especially recently with Candace Owens coming out and speaking against a certain group of people. But I don't take the bait because there's clearly a design trap in Candace Owens, or Candace Owens would have been thrown off the internet like everybody else who's talking about that specific group of people. And of course, we've seen now, like I said, they've hijacked conspiracy, so they're trying to make it somewhat mainstream, but not giving you all the truths to it. So they're talking about things like even bringing up Project Bluebeam, but not going into detail about Aleister Crowley and demons, right? Going into, oh, it's a government operation. Watch out for the Project Bluebeam. They're taking truths and they're giving you a little bit of a taste because how else are they going to lead you in? How else are they going to deceive you and trap you? People go, well, how are they really going to trap me? Well, you'll see because the deceptions are only going to get worse, especially after the fake outcome of this fake election in 2024. So he's rapping about MAGA. He's rapping about the Antichrist. In fact, I showed you the trailer where he shows the Antichrist actually being born. And, just how many albums can these guys have about the same topic? People out there see this like, oh, he's trolling. Oh, it's part of his gimmick, his brand. Huh? You got the guy, dyeing his hair. Who's the real Slim Shady? Please stand up again, talking about cloning pretty much right in front of you. This guy is talking about almost in every single album, human sacrifice, blood sacrifice, Lucifer, Antichrist. Yeah, people out there think that this is all creative and artsy. The truth is right in front of everybody, right? The truth is right on the photo for his album where he has one eye showing. Right? How many times does Eminem need to show us one eye symbolism for people out there to get it? How many times was Eminem inspired by the collages that I showed you? All the celebrities who just conveniently are in magazines or in album covers holding a hand up over their eye? Are they playing just a massive game of peekaboo with each other? Can anybody explain? Of course they can. I can. I'm explaining to you right now. They worship Lucifer. And why is that a problem? Well, it's a huge problem. For people out there that go, well, if you believe in God, why can't they believe in Lucifer? Well, if you actually understand what they really believe about what should happen to the human race, how they're trying to mix human beings' genetic code, how they commit sacrifice with youngsters, all the things that they do involving blood, well, then you would say, well, wait a minute, so they're a cult of people who are mass murderers, like the Ted Bundys of the world, right? Yes, and that's where the problem lies, right? And they have all the power, they're wielding all the influence, they're censoring anyone that speaks against this cabal, and of course, what else are they doing? They're influencing society's behavior, they're manufacturing an army of Satanists, an army with this depraved, this sickness, this mental sickness that is a Satanist in general. So they're all in on it together. I mean, it's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy when you see the pictures, the images of all the same symbolism, the signs and symbols, right? When you see how it's all connected to Freemasonry and secret societies, and it's higher than just Freemasonry, I understand that. But it's all rooted in Freemasonry, right? The Kabbalah, all this stuff is rooted in Freemasonry, all rooted and knotted together. These people can expand into higher secret societies, obviously, and we know there's groups above Freemasonry that are pulling the strings. Obviously, we have the Vatican, and we have the land over there, Israel, right? So we can't go into more detail about that, other than what I've covered here already, but there's going to be videos I'll probably have to put out on the song Antichrist and the song Lucifer. Why? Well, we can already imagine what the videos are going to be about, right? And this is them revealing themselves to you every single day. I have a video on almost every single celebrity and every single musician where you could see them doing the all-seeing eye, the shh, right? Another Masonic pose where they're telling you that it's a big secret you're not supposed to know about. The black and white Masonic checkerboard forts, the monarch butterfly, all these signs and symbols, right? I have a video on almost every single one of them where they expose themselves for who they truly are. There's no conspiracy here when you actually see the pattern here and you see the signs and symbols. Like Confucius said, right? Signs and symbols rule the world. And they do. They reveal themselves every single day, but people out there are not smart enough to figure out, or they're too prideful to get past that. They like these celebrities too much. They're like, oh, Eminem. I've seen people over the years like, oh, Eminem's helped me get out of rough times. I'm like, what? I'm like, huh? He's helped you out of a rough time. Like, yeah, I was going through something. I was listening to his music. You ever thought maybe you were going through the rough time because you were listening to this stuff? Because all the lyrics of this music, how would that inspire you? These people are talking about nothing more than getting high, human sacrifice. They're spell casting on you. The only thing on this earth that helps anybody overcome anything is Jesus Christ. That's it. So these people out there, they correlate music and celebrities with times in their lives, which is part of the mind control, part of the hypnosis. We can all think back on things when we were children that comforted us, right? So that you watch now, like if you see a movie that you watch from the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, right? And you think of it like, oh, it reminds me when I was a kid, better times. And you might put it on, you might watch it, or a song. That's the point. That's how this spell casting works. These people are not, people don't want to break free from it because of themselves. They refuse to. Disney's a big thing I've exposed over the years many times, right? People refuse to break free from Disney because it reminds them of their childhood, it reminds them of simpler times, right? That's how this works. And it's all rooted in the occult. But people have to get over themselves and realize that these people are all in on it together. And they show you this every single day. They're not more talented. They don't know, they're not better than you are. They don't work harder than you. They make more sacrifice than you. They tell you this, right? They sacrifice to get there. How many times do these musicians say that they sacrificed to get to where they are? Well, they did. Human sacrifice. That's how they got where they are. So Eminem again with another album, The Death of Slim Shady, right on the cover of the All-Seeing Eye. If it isn't obvious enough, he's even got songs dedicated to the Antichrist and Lucifer. But we're all the conspiracy nuts, right? Eminem is putting this out just to troll small-time YouTubers like me. Sure. Keep telling yourself that. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.
With multiple income sources, tracking my expenses and earnings for taxes feels like a whole other job. That's where the pros at H&R Block saved the day. They do it on my schedule, and I know it's going to be done right.
Welcome back, No DQ Galaxy, to a brand new edition of the No DQ review number 324. I am the moderator, Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of the review. Aaron Rift is here, Gino is here, Jeff Meacham is back, and Son is back in the house. What's going on, everybody? And anytime he's on, I go to him first. Son, what's going on?
Hey everybody, Son Goku here with The Rock finally back to help boost the WrestleMania build-up. I am ready to sink my teeth into this discussion for all the possibilities. Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
And, Son, I think of something. What was SmackDown's ratings with The Rock on there? Like, up? It was up about 300,000 people. The demo was like
This is the Rebel Call channel. Welcome to today's show. Should it surprise anyone that Johnny Depp is getting set to star as, or star in the role that he was born to star in? Of course, that's of Satan. And we could look at Johnny Depp's roles over the years, and most of them have some type of connection to Satan. A lot of them do, at least. But we also could look at Johnny Depp off screen and see his connection to his god, Satan, because he's always showing us the signs and symbols and the connection. And if you take note of this new movie called Carnival at the End of Days, you'll notice that the director goes by the name of Terry Gilliam. And I'll cover Terry Gilliam after I cover Johnny Depp. For people out there that don't know, Johnny Depp is one of the most in-our-faces Satanists out in the open. He's always flashing the signs and symbols. It's very easy to see, and it's very scary also to see just how obsessed the majority of our society is with Johnny Depp. They love Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp can do no wrong. In fact, even conservatives and Christians seem to love Johnny Depp, I guess because they love some of his films like Pirates of the Caribbean, and they can't get past the idol worship of these movies to actually realize that these people are devil worshippers. Now, I've covered Johnny Depp and his connection to Marilyn Manson. Most of you probably know that they're the closest of friends. Even, in fact, Marilyn Manson talked about some of the rituals that were done with Johnny Depp and Hunter S. Thompson, who I'll get into as well, at the Chateau Marmont in Hollywood, because that's where a lot of these rituals happen, and on a specific floor where there's soundproof rooms. But most people, like celebrities, when they talk, partying all night, they just think that they're punching the walls, I guess, and doing all sorts of stuff that we can't comprehend. And that's true. We can't comprehend it, but you can just watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas if you want to know what Johnny Depp is up to when he's staying at Hotel Marmont, or probably what Johnny Depp is up to every single day in his normal life. So, here's Johnny Depp just doing the 666 over his eye. For anyone out there that's not familiar, the same occult symbols, all these people obsessed with their eyeballs, always doing the one-eye symbolism. This is the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, which you can see on the back of the dollar bill. He does it pretty much anytime he has a photo shoot. Just like anytime any of these celebrities have a photo shoot, they just conveniently always have a thumb or a hand or a finger over one of their eyes. And this is biblical, of course. In Zechariah Chapter 11, verse 17, woe to the worthless shepherd who leaves the flock. A sword will be on his arm, and on his right eye. His arm will be totally withered, and his right eye will be blind. This is why we always see the one-eye symbolism. You can see Johnny Depp doing his Freemasonic symbolism as well. The hand over the heart. Most of you think of this, and what do you think? He's doing the Pledge of Allegiance? I mean, most of these Hollywood actors have pretty much said that they hate America, right? Johnny Depp, one of these guys who talked about Trump, talked about leaving America. So he's not doing the Pledge of Allegiance out in the open. He's doing his Pledge of Allegiance to Freemasonry, to the secret society that he's a member of. And he's definitely gone above Freemasonry, because once they get to a certain level, 33rd degree Freemason, then they go into different secret societies. And he's definitely well above that. We know that for a fact based on how famous Johnny Depp is, how much wealth he's assumed, and how Johnny Depp is pretty much untouchable in the public eye. So here he is doing the hand over the heart. We've seen Johnny Depp even doing the other common Masonic pose, the finger over the lip, where they go, shh, right? Sometimes they'll do it with just a finger on the lip, sometimes they'll do it with a hand on the lip. This, of course, is referencing the Freemasonic vow of secrecy, the oath of silence that they take. He even does it in Pirates of the Caribbean, right on the cover. One of the, I mean, it's pretty incredible. What is the pirate? Did the pirate just break wind and he doesn't want anyone knowing? What is the big secret here? Well, the secret is that all of these celebrities are members of secret societies. The illusion that they're just better than you are, they're more talented than anybody else, that's an illusion. These are trained operatives, government operatives. They go through secret societies like Freemasonry. They're trained in MK Ultra and mind control programming, okay? That's what acting essentially is. They're programming you into not just idol worship, but they're programming you with social engineering, because most people follow what these celebrities tell them to follow. So Johnny Depp showing you the vow of secrecy, the oath of silence that they all take. We've seen Johnny Depp even pose in photographs with famed photographer Terry Richardson. Most of you probably don't know Terry. You're like, Terry Richardson, famed photographer. Well, he's famous in occult circles because, a lot of those pictures when people get busted and caught with photographs, and you say, who's photographing these things that are going on behind closed doors with youngsters? Well, Terry Richardson is. He's the photographer of the stars. That's why you can find almost every celebrity in some creepy photograph with Terry Richardson, from Jared Leto to Johnny Depp to Miley Cyrus. They all pose with Terry because Terry's their guy. Terry's the one who helps get them access to these youngsters whenever they need to. So Terry is known in occult circles as one of the photographers of the stars. I guess, this whole illusion that we have of photography when it comes to celebrities, these photographs that they take, when I talk about them doing these magazine covers with one hand over their eye, right? Well, if you or me were taking the photograph, say you went to school to be a photographer, right? You're like, I'm a photographer, great. I got hired by this place, and they're gonna let me do a photo shoot for GQ with Johnny Depp. Well, that's never gonna happen in a trillion years, because all the people who do the photography are all people like Terry Richardson. So who do you think is telling them to put their hand over their eye and to do the shh on their mouth? Because you probably wouldn't ask Johnny Depp to do that in a photo shoot. You would just be focused on, is it good lighting? How does he look? How's his makeup, right? Well, Terry is put in those positions for those shoots, but those aren't the real photo shoots that Terry does. Of course, Terry does take those pictures because that's the ruse, right? Oh, Terry's a photographer of the stars, but Terry's really the one who photographs and films all the activities that are done in secret that you'll never find out about. But that's why Terry's one of those guys you can look at and you just know what Terry's involved in. Like I talk about with some of these guys like Bezos, you just look at Terry Richardson, okay? You get a feeling over you. If you have, at least I know I do. When I say people with the Holy Spirit, we could sense these people, right? If you're out in public and sometimes you feel someone staring at you, don't you stare and see somebody staring, you feel eyes on you, you can just sense a demon around you or someone who's not filled with the Holy Spirit. Well, Terry Richardson's one of these guys, you just look at a photo of him and you know what he's involved in. It's very, 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 very clear. So another thing with Johnny Depp before I get into Terry Gilliam, the director of the film that he's about to star in as Satan, is the connection to the West Memphis 3. Now, a lot of people out there think they're awake. I know a lot of people who follow my channels follow a lot of the crime channels and stuff like that. And they've heard about the West Memphis 3 who were freed. These are three kids, okay? They were convicted of a crime. The crime was they slaughtered other young kids, okay? And they were arrested for it. In their house, they found all sorts of satanic stuff, the Satanic Bible, but they specifically found a blood oath contract that they had with Aleister Crowley, okay, inside their home. So when they went on trial, of course, they hired HBO to make it seem like these kids were innocent of the crime, that there was no evidence, they were framing them because they wore Metallica shirts and they were gothic, and that was the whole mindset. So people out there who are awake actually fell for the propaganda that HBO produced, but the reality of the matter is Damien Eccles, who you see on the screen, has a connection, a blood connection to Aleister Crowley. And what they did was they wanted to free these kids. So all of these celebrities like Johnny Depp and Eddie Vedder went out of their way to push the propaganda from HBO, along with HBO, to get these kids freed from prison. So they put propaganda out there saying there was no evidence. They were convicted because they wore Metallica shirts. Metallica got involved. All these celebrities cared so much about this specific case that even after these kids were convicted of the crimes, they were let out of prison. Now, you might say, oh, I don't believe that because there's stories circulating about the father's involvement. His DNA was found on a shoelace, things like that. No arrests have ever been made. These are the ones responsible for it, Eccles and his friends. And of course, you might say, well, Eccles is free now. What's he doing? Well, Eccles is promoted on YouTube, performing black magic. He's teaching people out there cult sigils. He's famous now because of the connection to these Hollywood celebrities, right? And of course, he's not censored at all. He can teach kids all about alchemy and black magic, while people like me can't even point out that celebrities are holding their hand up over their eyes because apparently that's hate speech in today's society. So Johnny Depp helped free these children who were clearly guilty, who had a blood oath contract with Aleister Crowley. Instead of pointing out what that meant and why they would even have a contract drawn up in blood with Aleister Crowley and his books, all of his books which talk about black magic and summoning spirits and summoning Satan by performing rituals and doing sacrifice, nobody wanted to point that part out. In the documentary, they just said that's all hogwash. That stuff doesn't really happen. So all the Christians, everybody out there just fell for the propaganda, and now they don't even think about it anymore. Now that the kids are out in the streets, can't imagine the rituals that Eccles and his fellow friends are involved in these days. But of course, Johnny Depp helped with that, and as most of you know, Johnny Depp, one of his most infamous roles, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, where he plays Hunter S. Thompson, his buddy. Hunter S. Thompson, of course. Most people go, I don't even know who Hunter S. Thompson is. Who's Hunter S. Thompson? Well, Hunter S. Thompson's the character that Johnny Depp plays in Fear and Loathing, right? You know, the guy who is drinking that red liquid. Do you think about what that... I can't say the word, right? But let's just say it gives you a rush of adrenaline, okay? This red liquid that they're obsessed with. That's what the film really, part of the plot of the film is about, okay? Is Johnny Depp getting that red liquid, and now a lot of people are aware of that because a lot of things have come out in the open. So Hunter S. Thompson is nobody knows what he's famous for. He was on David Letterman. He's famous for being a hunter, okay? He hunts, you know, youngsters. That's what Hunter S. Thompson did while he was here on Earth. And Johnny Depp couldn't be more obsessed with Hunter S. Thompson, of course, because they were doing it together. And when Hunter S. Thompson passed, Johnny was heartbroken about it. But my point about Fear and Loathing isn't just that red liquid. It's about who directed it. Well, the same guy who's about to direct this latest film, Terry Gilliam. Here's Terry. You can just look at Terry. Like I said, with Terry Richardson, you can see, you know, the eyes of the window of the soul. You can see him here holding up the 666 sign. Right? You can see him doing the X Antichrist over his chest, the X symbol that all these celebrities do as well. What do you think? He's hugging himself. Okay. Now he's famous, or became famous, like his big breakout thing was Monty Python. And if you don't know, Monty Python was, I mean, I don't understand how people find this stuff funny, but to each their own, I suppose. Monty Python has a lot of stuff that they used to put out in Freemasonry. Okay. You can look them up yourself. Monty Python, how to recognize a Mason. They would mock the handshakes. A lot of BBC television, I'm going to do some videos on it, would openly talk about Freemasonry, but they would make fun of it like it's silly, like it's goofy, to give the impression that it was just like adult fraternity. Because, you know, back then people noticed things a little bit more, so they saw Freemasonic lodges and they wondered what they were doing, and they really put the stuff out there about, hey, you know, these guys are just a bunch of guys who graduate college and then they're in a fraternity, they're all silly and goofy. So on the BBC, Monty Python would put stuff out where they would mock the handshakes, they would do the humiliation rituals out in the streets and things like that. And it kind of dismissed the notion of what Freemasonry really is, about worshiping Lucifer. It gave the impression that they're all funny goofballs like Monty Python. Now in today's world, nobody even knows that these Freemason lodges exist because everybody's looking at their phone. So you drive by them all the time and you don't even notice this stuff because nobody's alert or paying attention to anything that's around them. So Terry Gilliam, also, if you're not familiar, with not just directing that film, he also has a film called The Imaginarium of Dr. Paranesis, okay, where you can see right on the movie poster for it, you see the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor. Now, it's worth noting, for anyone out there that's wondering, you might remember an actor by the name of Heath Ledger, okay, played the Joker, and then he mysteriously died. Well, he was in the middle of filming this movie, which was directed by Gilliam, okay? And he was replaced in the movie. You see the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor again on the ground. He was replaced in the movie by Johnny Depp, but there's an infamous photo of him in the film where he has a rope around his neck, a very Masonic photograph of Heath Ledger, who coincidentally left the Earth shortly after that. You can connect the dots yourself on that. And inside of that film, of course, not just that cover with the Masonic checkerboard floor is filled with Freemasonic symbolism. You can see some of the symbolism here at the third eye, the all-seeing eye. These are all things that you'll find inside of Masonic Lodge, and you'll see all the celebrities openly doing it out in the open. But remember, they want you to believe that you become famous by talent and hard work. That's why they tell you all the stories behind the celebrities and how they become famous, and they're all make-believe stories, right? They went to Hollywood, they kept trying. They waited tables, they kept working at it. Oh, but they're so talented, they finally broke through. No. These are government operatives. They're all members of secret societies, all been planted in these positions, and their job is to influence you, influence your behavior. And that's why we're in the position we're in now as a society. You can thank people like Depp, you can thank people like Gilliam. And for anyone out there wondering the plot of the film, of course, the plot for that film, The Imaginarium of Dr. Paranesis, or what's called Paraanus, the leader of a traveling show has a dark secret. Thousands of years ago, he traded the soul of his daughter to the devil. Now the devil has come to collect his prize. To save her, he must make a final wager. Whoever collects 5 souls first wins Valentina. Tony Heath Ledger, a man saved from hanging by Paranesis' troop, agrees to help collect them with his eyes, all-seeing eye, on marrying Valentina. And of course, that's the plot. So now we come full circle, right? Johnny Depp's been in Fear and Loathing with this guy. Johnny Depp, what's the connection there? Well, of course, it's always the same connection. Freemasonry and secret societies. People all worship Satan. This guy seems very obsessed with Satan, right? This guy Gilliam. And of course, he talks about this new movie that he has called Carnival at the End of Days. And he even says in an interview, the film's about God deciding to destroy humanity for effing up his beautiful garden. That's the quote from this man. A film about God deciding to destroy humanity because they messed up his beautiful garden. Well, it's people like this who messed up everything in this world, right? The ones who ate of the forbidden fruit are these people in these secret societies like Depp, etc. Right? That's why they openly brag about having the hidden knowledge. That's what they're speaking of. And the knowledge they believe they have is Lucifer is the God of this world, and they're gods among us. So, is it a surprise that Johnny Depp is going to be playing Satan in the upcoming film? No, it's not a surprise, because this is the role that Johnny Depp was clearly born to play. And I'll cover the film if I'm still around when it comes out. I mean, I won't be on this channel, but I'll be somewhere else if anyone's still following me. And I'm sure it'll be filled with more stuff, because when you hear the plot, it has something to do, you know, and again, who do they put as the protagonist in all these movies? Satan. Who is the enemy? Who is the villain? The antagonist. It's always now God. Haven't you noticed that theme? TV shows like Lucifer. You hear the show. There's a show called Lucifer. What's about Lucifer? He's a detective. And you're like, what? That's really stupid. And like, well, Lucifer's helping solve crimes. He's really not a bad guy. And you go, wait, what? Oh, Lucifer's the good guy in the show. Yeah, he's the good guy. He's the victim. Who's the bad guy in the show? Well, of course, God is. Because it's the inverted reality that they're creating. And the same with this movie, right? Johnny Depp will be Satan. Everybody will run to see it. They'll be excited to see Johnny Depp. They'll love it. He'll make Satan seem so cool. And of course, who's the bad guy trying to kill humanity? God. But the reality of the matter is, who's really trying to destroy humanity? These people are. And they're getting away with it. And even Gilliam is one of these people talking about artificial intelligence and technology. And then, you know, they say, oh, what do you think about it? You know, it's going to take jobs away. So he said, there's no stopping it, right? Because he knows what AI really is. And this guy is just another Satanist out in the open, just like Johnny Depp. So I wanted to cover that for people out there that didn't know. Of course, you know, anytime there's a story like, all right, Johnny Depp's playing Satan, then you just look into who's the director. Then you look into, oh, wow, he's done this, he's done that. A lot of satanic stuff. Yep. Not coincidental, because they're all part of the same secret societies, the same brotherhood. The Brotherhood of Lucifer, also known as the Freemasonic Brotherhood. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gotta run, take a big bite. It's a big life. Zoom, zoom, live fast, big mood. Big plans and a bigger attitude. Life short, so you gotta live it up within the limit. Cause it's just a visit if you blink, you miss it. Listen, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gotta run, take a big bite. It's a big life.
I have a lot of people who do not like wrestling like me. They buy merchandise, and they will buy tickets to come to the shows to see me.
You go from indie wrestler to this.
Being able to trickle into that version of me was more comfortable and suiting.
You don't just trickle into putting makeup on.
No.
That's a big line you cross.
Yes.
2020 into 2021, you were everywhere.
Just constantly putting my name out there.
So much popularity that AW couldn't ignore you.
But yeah, it snowballed from there.
What exactly happens when Danhausen curses someone?
Hopefully they're superstitious enough to where something happens to work for them.
Have you cursed MJF?
Not on screen.
You should.
He does deserve it.
What's the dream match?
I really, really wish.
You've blown the budget for the entire year for this extremely expensive CGI.
Well, I appreciate you didn't just use AI.
CGI to have you in your human makeup.
Yeah.
So good to see you again.
You too. It's been what, 4 years?
It's been a long time.
4 years via Zoom, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe during the pandemic era.
Just not the the same.
Or before, I don't know.
I know, it was definitely during.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
Not the same.
No, in studio.
But the CGI has gotten even better. Like,
Full body CGI.
Look how good you look. Amazing.
Thank you.
Do you get recognized out of makeup?
If it's a wrestling event.
Okay.
If it's a wrestling event, yes. I've been actually recognized once at a GNC because it was literally, this is going to sound like a lie. I walked in, the guy said hello, and I went, hello. And then he went, Danhausen? And I went, what? And he goes, I recognize the voice. And I was like, what? I was so caught off guard. And he was like, how?
Do you think your real voice sounds that much like Danhausen?
I don't. I think it's, there's hints of it there, especially now. It's kind of like the Simpsons effect, sort of, where like Dan Castellaneta sounded much different in the earlier episodes where he was doing the voice.
Yeah.
And now I feel like he probably just sounds more like himself doing the voice. So it's probably morphed a little bit and just being me. But he's like, oh no, I study voice acting. And I was like, he knew like instantly. It was crazy. Like, I didn't have a full sentence with him or anything. Just hello. And he had to have been a wrestling fan, obviously.
Sure.
So like there was already, I guess, that. But yeah, it was just weird. Just in Michigan.
If you wear something like this, you might get recognized for your tattoo.
Maybe. But yeah, I think I was just dressed like, no, I probably had a hoodie on. I think it was winter. So I probably had a coat on actually.
And did
but,
you just immediately snap into Danhausen voice?
No, it gives me anxiety. I don't like to make other people uncomfortable as much as that character, like, I do it. So whenever I have to do like a public thing, I try to be very mindful of everybody because I don't want them to have a bad time, make them feel weird that we're doing something. You know what I mean?
What do you mean? Like,
I don't know.
Everybody loves Danhausen.
But this is true.
Yeah.
He's definitely not polarizing.
Love that Danhausen. No, but like you doing the voice for someone who's a fan, they'd probably be like, this is amazing.
Well, also, I feel very weird doing the voice when I'm not in the thing. If I'm not in the makeup and I do the voice, I hate. I've done it because I had to do some voiceover stuff, like just where like for AEW video game or whatever. Like it's still a little weird. I actually think I probably had makeup on during that because it was just whatever. Like I was getting ready for the day anyway. But I've done some of the voice stuff without it, and I'm just like, it feels wrong. I don't like it.
It's almost like putting on a mask and you can become that character.
Yeah, but like, I don't know if we touched on this in the first time we talked, but it's very bad stage fright. Like for anything, like like speaking in public, when you have to write papers in school and go to the front of the class and be shaking. So like it is kind of like wearing a mask for me. It's helped me just be able to do public things much better, public speaking and everything.
I know you love The Simpsons, so when you're told or asked to do the voice, does it feel like the Bart Simpson? Like,
do the line, Bart.
I didn't do it.
Yes, sometimes yes, especially if it's I'll get it sometimes where like if I'm doing a meet and greet, unless it's little kids, I don't really do the voice. Like I'm talking to adults, and it's also usually for Comic-Con where I'm there for a long time. I can't do the voice for 8 hours straight. I won't have a voice for TV or like videos or whatever. So like some people just walk up and go, do the voice. And I'm just like, no. Also, that's not like a polite way to ask that.
You should just then curse them.
Usually they'll be like, well, can I at least curse? And I'll do that.
They've been cursed though.
Like I can do the voice. It's just like don't just come up to me and say, do the line, Bart. Like it's weird.
I didn't do it.
Makes me feel really weird immediately.
Does it strain your voice?
A little bit, yeah. So if I'm doing like cameos for a long time, like Christmas time or Halloween, like I usually have a lot like of extra ones. I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
What?
At a certain point, like it starts to make me nauseous almost. I think I'm projecting for like I should probably take classes, which I think you've sent me things before, which I probably forgot to read, but I remembered right now. But there's probably techniques to not feel that way. But yeah, I think it's because I'm projecting from like the back of my throat
Instead of your diaphragm?
Probably.
Right, that's a whole thing, right?
Yeah, and it just eventually makes me feel nauseous, and I can start to lose my voice. But
just have a chat with Justin Roberts. Like, the way that he works his voice and somehow never loses it.
Yeah.
He clearly knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
This is why I also save the voice for just TV things and video things, because like if I do my videos or whatever for Patreon or YouTube or whatever, like it's generally treated like a full work day, where it's like, no, we're gonna be filming for like 8 hours. So that's a day where I need to do the voice for realistically not 8 hours, but multiple hours. So
do you love that Danhausen?
I do. I have to at this point.
That's not true.
No, I enjoy doing it still. Yeah. So I feel like it could very easily not be fun or be turned into something that's like a chore. And sometimes it is, and then I just have to remember like old jobs that I had, like where I go, I just have to put on makeup and make someone smile. Like that's so much nicer. And like I don't want to say nicer because like I used to be a nursing assistant. So like you 12-hour shifts, they were very hard usually. They were long. I'd work multiple, usually I've done like 12 days in a row of that stuff. And I try to remember those where I go, this is much more lax and easier, and I don't have to clean up puke or like bodily fluids. So I'm like, this is good. That was rewarding, but this is also rewarding.
I remember going to Ronin Pro Wrestling in South Florida, and you were Donovan Danhausen.
Yes.
Which was a completely different
I was
character.
Guy with beard and tattoos.
Guy with beard and tattoos.
Yeah, but that was like the first few years probably of me starting. So it was just, hey, go get reps in and wrestle people. And without that, I don't think I would have gotten to where I was. Obviously, like I feel like there's people who kind of got their character like almost immediately. Like MJF, I think didn't take very long to get who he was, and he just added to it because it's him. He's a jerk. So he's the worst. So he just adds to being the worst constantly. He just gets horrible and worse and worse and worse. Like I would see him, C4 wrestling in Ottawa, and instead of selling merch, he would just sit at the merch table and yell at people. That's it. That's all you do.
That's classic MJF.
That's also what he does at Comic-Cons, but now he's got a little bit longer lines. I think he mixes it up and takes some of the money. So,
but for you to go from that, call it generic indie wrestler, to this, which popped off like crazy, there's a big jump from that. Like, I didn't see any of this Danhausen when I watched you in the ring back then.
No, that was very much serious, trying to be ass kicker man, and I'm not. It's just not who I am. I'm goofy. I like we talked about, like watching The Simpsons, I like cartoons, comic books, horror movies, but like B horror movies too, where it's kind of goofy and tongue in cheek, and like that's more of who I am. So like being able to slowly trickle into that version of me was much more comfortable and suiting.
But you don't just trickle into putting makeup on.
No,
that's a big line you cross.
Yes, so that came from my dad because Halloween was very big in our house. He would do my makeup every single year. I'd be a zombie with glass out of my head. Like, but I'd send me to school like this, like I don't know, first and second grade, probably third grade. Like he'd do full makeup on me, send me to school, and they'd be like, oh, it's a little extreme, don't you think? Like, I'm a zombie. I don't know. My dad did my makeup.
That's awesome.
But he worked in haunted houses like as I was growing up. So he's super artistic. He'd paint comic book stores and things like that. He'd paint the Hulk and Spawn and everything on the walls. He'd make my costumes like homemade. We did a Kane one year where he took a Jason mask and he painted it and melted it and used like hot glue and stuff. Because I don't think they were selling Kane masks at the time. So he took a sweatsuit and pleather and made me the red and black Kane suit. So there's a photo of that somewhere. I don't know.
What? My guy will find it.
Yeah, it's been posted somewhere on Twitter and probably Instagram and everything. But that's a zombie, it's Dracula. Like that slowly just has always been in the back of my head. So that's always been there wanting to do that.
Wow.
Like the horror character or including the horror stuff into it, but not knowing how because it's usually not great. There's like a few examples where it is. But generally it's always kind of like you're either the tough guy or you're the horror character or like, whatever. Like, so yeah, that eventually got there.
We'll get right back to the conversation in just a second. Look, I know we're already a few weeks into the new year, and most people have already given up on their New Year's resolutions, but this can finally be the year where you look and feel your best and have more energy than ever before.
This is a call for uprising. Welcome to today's show. This is a perfect example of how they write these stories and the tone that they use to make us all look like legitimate nutjob crazy people, when in fact they're taking something that is actually true They're mocking, they're using comedy, and they're using deflection, and they're using, crazy Christian as the narrative to make us all look nuts, when in reality, everything that's going on and being spoken of is true. You get this article in the Washington Post. The woman who claims Monster Energy drinks are a tool of the devil is back just in time for Halloween. Now, for those of you that don't know, the logo happens to be 666 for Monster Energy. These 3 lines in Hebrew represent 6. Okay, so the video made the rounds again this weekend, roaming the crowded hallways of Twitter where the bored and the distracted could exhaust another 2 minutes of their lives by learning about an alleged unholy alliance between Satan and Monster Energy drinks. So you can see right there how Satan and Monster Energy, right? So people roll their eyes and they think all this stuff is just kooky and crazy, but really in reality the joke's on them because we're all telling people the truth of what's happening because we have eyes to see and ears to hear. It was an encore performance from Christine Weick, the Christian activist whose wicked dissection of monsters branding first surfaced around 2012. And they show some of her clips here. In a short presentation at a book fair, the video, which has been viewed nearly 11 million times, she attempts to remove the veil from our eyes so that we can see the quote-unquote truth about Monster Energy's logo and marketing practices. The jagged M on the can is not the 13th letter of the English alphabet, but 3 consecutive depictions of the Hebrew letter Vav, V-A-V, which has multiple usages depending on the context. One usage is the symbol for the number 6, which is Weick's chosen definition. Hence, the can spells out 666, the mark of the beast. She then turns our attention to Monster's slogan, Unleash the Beast. Now, these are all things that should make sense to people because this is true. This is exactly true about Monster Energy. If you didn't know that, now you know. She then turns her attention to Monster Energy's slogan, Unleash the Beast, which she says could be a reference to the beast that emerged from the heavens, the sea, and the earth in the book of Revelation. But even if you doubt her interpretation of the letter M, she adds you cannot deny that the company has buried a Christian cross in the letter O on the monster name. Right? So she's showing the can upside down. And this is just unbelievable. And what is witchcraft? It's the article says. When the cross goes upside down, she says, turning the can upside down for a big fake swig, bottoms up, and the devil laughs, something to think about. This is how clever Satan is and how he gets into the Christian's homes and a Christian's life, and it breaks God's heart. And then she makes a gesture with her hand and says, right, see what kind of sorcery you're up against, Christians? Right, so they love this kind of stuff to, use this to make fun of us. And then to make other people out there not want to be Christian, like I always tell you. It says over the years, many other reputable companies and brands, including Starbucks Coffee, Disney, and Texaco Oil, have been victimized by similar versions of devil theories, which have always been shown to be absurd, says a spokesman for Monster Energy who wrote an email statement to the Post. This fabricated devil theory is delusional, fanatical, or simply trying to besmirch the good name and reputation of a successful company and brand. Snoops, the fact-checking site, calls this theory false, which anybody who's ever been to Snoops, I was called Snoops. It is everything that you read on there, just realize it's the total opposite. Everything that this is a ridiculous website, which I think is actually funded by George Soros. At least I think I've heard somebody say that before. I never really looked into it. But they try to debunk every theory out there, every claim out there. Right, so if you say we never landed on the moon, they'll have a thing up that says Snoops, you never landed on the moon, false, and then they'll tell you why. And they're so full of garbage. All they try to do is deflect. So any article that would quote Snoops, how pathetic. The fact-checking site calls the theory false, but offers evidence to debunk it. Snoops basically says that this woman doesn't understand the Hebrew or Greek languages. Perhaps the most important information here lies in the woman's own past. So this is the woman who's making these claims. She's not alone. Everybody knows this. Who's awake. She has been the subject of several interviews over the years, and she holds nothing back. She describes growing up in a strict Christian Reformed household that allowed no TV, no movies, and no music. She eventually rebelled against such a straitjacketed childhood by turning to, you got it, witchcraft. Right. So now they're trying to discredit her by saying that she turned to witchcraft and trying to make it sound like, oh, she grew up in a crazy Christian home with no TV. Oh my goodness, right? They always do that to make people go, oh, these Christian fanaticals. It was the ultra form of rebellion against God, she tells one interviewer, to worship the devil outright. She got pregnant in high school, she says, and she was ready to have an abortion until her mother found out and apparently persuaded her daughter to have the baby. The woman then says she got married but cheated on her husband regularly. She ultimately left her first husband, which she says ruined her daughter's life. After wrecking her marriage, Weick's words, not ours, she moved in with a boyfriend. The boyfriend had a daughter. The daughter had a white zombie CD. Weick noticed the witchcraft symbols on the CD cover. She happened to open the CD and read the lyrics. Then when I'd seen the blasphemous words against Jesus Christ, it bothered me. She said, I gave my life to the Lord right there thinking, okay, Lord, the devil's done with me now. Now I'm working for you. That day, according to a different interview, was apparently in 1995. Weick calls herself a simple servant of God. As part of her service, she wrote a book, Explain This, a verse-by-verse explanation of the book of Revelation, which she self-published in 2010. Her book warns that Christians must not assume the rapture will save them from the tribulations foretold in Revelation. And okay, they go on to just kind of make her sound like a lunatic, Christian, which is what they, this is the whole purpose of, CNN, Washington Post, Huffington Poop, right? They love to just come out and any Christian that they can get, and then they can go, oh, but she turned to witchcraft. Oh, and she cheated on her husband, and they can kind of slander their character, make them look like hypocrites. They love to do that because they know that it plants seeds in people's heads to hate Christians, to not ever want to be a Christian, right? Since the popularity of her Monster Energy Satan dissection, even non-believers were impressed with her thoroughness and passion, gave Weick the confidence to take on other issues important to her interpretation of Christianity. She told the interviewer she was soon standing at a busy intersection on Mother's Day suggesting to passing motorists that they should thank their mom today for not being gay. So of course they put that in there, right? So that makes people even more mad because it's hateful. She's standing on Mother's Day, and they'll say that that's rude. So that's what they do, right? But in reality, the story's telling you the truth. And the truth of the matter is Monster Energy, the can is 666. The slogan is Unleash the Beast. Anybody can see it. It's blatantly obvious. But they try to go, well, you can interpret the Hebrew language or the Hebrew alphabet or the Hebrew numerology or whatever, and you can take it this way or you can take it that way. It could have dual meanings. So she's making it up, right? So Unleash the Beast and the 666 must be a huge coincidence, right? So they're telling you the truth in plain sight. And the rest of the article is obviously just bashing her. It says Weick has even taken upon herself to confront pop singer Katy Perry's parents, both evangelical pastors, for allowing their daughter to fall under the influence of Satan. And then they put in the church, the church lady from Saturday Night Live with Dana Carvey at the bottom of the article, just to make it even, this is how mind control works. This is how they do it. Simple as that. Take the truth, show it out there, right? Which is part of sigil magic. Show it to everybody, and then focus the whole article on slandering the person who's saying it, making them look like a lunatic, right? Throwing stuff about rapture, the book of Revelation, throwing stuff about her cheating on her husband, throwing the church lady, throwing her attacking Katy Perry, saying Katy Perry's saying is the way that they say it, that the way that they're writing it in the article, the tone of that is how they keep people under this spell, under this deception of thinking that all this stuff is insane and it's crazy. Well, then why doesn't what are the people at Monster? What is their excuse going to be? They're going to say, well, it's called Monster and it's supposed to be a monster's claws ripping through, but it makes an M for monster, right? And then they have the slogan Unleash the Beast. And top it all off with what happens to people who chug these types of energy drinks. It's like people eating bath salts and stuff like that. Who even knows what chemicals are in this stuff? I don't know what's in Monster energy drinks, but I don't want to know. But this is the stuff you can always spot and see. And as soon as you see it, realize why they're doing it. Especially if you're new in the awakening process, right? Because people who are just waking up, they still can be persuaded into thinking all this stuff is crazy by articles like this. They have to realize that these articles are just propaganda. They're just here to control you and push you and sway you and move you and keep you away from the truth and keep you doubting things. Especially they want you doubting Jesus Christ. They want you doubting the Bible. They don't want you believing in it. Okay? Because this is about souls. This is spiritual warfare. Every soul that they get, no matter how they do it, no matter how they manipulate and lie and deceive people into believing in evolution and into believing, that Jesus isn't real or getting people to worship Satan outright. That's a win for them every time, no matter how they do it. And it's easy for them to trick people than it is for Christians to get people to believe. Because all they have to do is use mind control tactics like this. It's just cheap, is what it is. But I mean, that's what the devil is. He's a cheapskate, right? All his minions are cheapskates. They have to use lies and manipulation to lead people away. Make things up like evolution. It's pathetic. That was the Washington Post. Just more garbage for them. I wanted to share that with everybody out there. Monster Energy, in fact, the logo is 666 and Unleash the Beast. It's pretty easy to see. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.
We are generational talent because we have different generations that follow us. Our goal was to be the World Tag Team Champions one time. We totally exceeded.
What we're seeing in TNA are the OG Hardys.
That was very important to go through as the OG Hardys. In 2025, it's time to reinvent.
If Jeff wasn't your brother, everything you've done on your own would be wild.
Yeah, it would be. But Jeff is the epitome of what the Hardy Boys represent.
You were turning to TNA at the moment.
Yeah, moments are everything. That's what I really try to focus on now.
There's no question the Hardy Boys are future Hall of Famers.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
Do you think about how much longer you can do this?
I'm just going to ride this spiral till it ends.
Matt, always good to see you.
Yeah, man. It's always good to be here with you, Chris.
And look, you're a champion this time around.
Champion again. Yeah, this is pretty cool, man. This marks 13 for Jeff and I.
Jeez, what a career.
Pretty good. We got a pretty good career. Our goal in the beginning was to be the World Tag Team Champions one time, and if we did anything past that, we totally exceeded it. So we exceeded pretty good.
What does this one mean to you?
I think this particular title just shows that people need to get their tenses right. A lot of people say in past tense, the Hardys were great, but present tense is what they need to speak in. The Hardys are great. We had a couple years at AEW where people thought, oh my God, maybe these guys are down in the finish, whatever. We came back to TNA, and kudos to TNA for putting us in a position to succeed. And we rock and rolled as the original OG Hardy Boys, more or less, and then we ended up earning a tag team title shot, and we built to that Full Metal Mayhem at Bound for Glory, which was Full Metal Mayhem reimagined with all just art on the tables and ladders and chairs and whatnot. And we earned these titles, and these mean a lot to us. And we're really happy to be back and be very prevalent again in our position.
What we're seeing in TNA right now are the OG Hardys, including what you guys are wearing. Are these the actual clothes you guys were wearing in the 90s?
Yes, mine are. Jeff, his pants were burnt whenever his house burned down, but mine are original. I still have 2 or 3 pairs of the original stuff because they sponsored us when we first started doing it. And they would ship us kickwear pants, yeah. And he found a couple of the shirts at our dad's just recently, and the shirts we wore at Final Resolution were some of our OG Hardy shirts too.
Isn't it so funny that the fashion just comes right back around full circle?
It's wild, yeah.
So kudos to you for hanging on to them, right?
Yeah, I'm big on that. I'm big on hanging on to stuff. It means a lot too. Memorabilia. It's very important. I love to look back at that stuff and be reminded of a certain time, a certain feeling I had during that era. But you talked about the OG Hardys. That was very important for us to go through and win these titles as the OG Hardys. And now we're at the point, I think in 2025, one of the important things that the Hardys are going to do are start to evolve again. I think it's time to reinvent a little bit and go in a totally new direction. You're seeing little bits and pieces of that in some of the promos we've done recently.
And what does that look like?
I think it looks like the Hardy Boys once again found success. The Hardy Boys are feeling good. They're physically feeling good. They're mentally and emotionally feeling pretty good about what they're doing. And they're going to understand and be able to comprehend and understand that they are these legends, that people speak of, these icons that people speak of after doing this for 33 years and maybe even lean into that a little bit.
Did you get to a point in your career where you didn't think you'd be wrestling at this age? You didn't think you'd be wrestling in your 50s?
I didn't. I never really thought about it, I guess. My approach in life, I live every day like it's my last, but I am also living simultaneously living like I'm preparing myself to live to be 100 years old. That's kind of my mindset, because just life is so short, life is so precious, especially after those incidents with Jay Briscoe and then the thing with Bray Wyatt and Wyndham, just them passing away like that so quickly and unexpectedly. You never know, man.
Do you also feel like maybe you wrestle every match like it's your last match?
I think so. I think
you guys leave it all out there.
I think we try to, especially when you realize you're kind of on that back end of your career and you really want to cement your legacy. I think you kick in and you work a little extra hard. So it was tough when we did the whole Final Resolution thing because we did the Fourth Rope show where we became the first champions, the first tag team champions of Fourth Rope, which is a project with West Side Gun. And we did a TLC match that night. So we did that, and then the next night it was a tables match where we went through tables and we went nuts. It was crazy, and then we actually had a match the third night as well. So those are a little trickier to bounce back from when you're a little older. Like Jeff and I, we're big cold plunge guys. I know you're an advocate of the cold plunge.
Every day.
I think, that has added so much longevity to both of us, I think, physically in our careers.
As you sit here right now, what hurts?
My lower back, my hips, that's my biggest issue. And I miss not being home, not doing the cold plunge. Because there's no bathtub in the hotel, so it's just like a little bit of a cold shower or whatever. But I get in that cold plunge every single day. I sit there like 45 minutes, and it's crazy the feeling that it gives you after sitting there once you get out. It's tough to get in, sometimes you're like, I really don't want to get in there. Or
isn't that funny?
It's hard, but then once you come out, it's just, so you feel so good. It's such a high.
There's not a day where like my mind's not playing tricks on me, right? Like, you can answer this email first, or you could eat first, or standing out there with no shirt on, it's freezing outside. I'm like, I could go in later on.
Yeah.
It's amazing that like mental games your own brain is playing with you.
Of course, yeah. It's really a great way to find self-control too. You get in there and you freak out and you kind of meditate and you get control of your body, you get control of your temperature, you get control of your mind.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of focus and you find your chi in there, then you kind of get through it. And then once you get out, you have that amazing dopamine rush.
Yeah. And also, if you can do something hard at the start of your day, then other things that day might not seem as difficult.
Yeah. It's a great way to mentally and emotionally start the day.
How has so that's your recovery, but how have your workouts changed over the last decade or so?
My workouts have changed more where I'm doing a lot more cardio. I try to do hard cardio. I just make sure that's important. And I start with my cold plunge in the day and then I'm cold and then I warm up doing cardio, burn those calories. And I think that's so your body burns calories, so your metabolism speeds up as much as it possibly can. You're like, I did that stage like I am. And I do that and then I usually do one body part and then I implement some stretching and yoga every day.
You could have gone anywhere after AEW. What made TNA the right fit?
It just worked out right because they offered me something just a couple days out.
Welcome everyone to A Call for Judgment. Today I want to talk about this story that came out. You all remember probably, if not, I'll refresh your memory. The person that calls themselves Yuval Noah Harari. Remember some of the wonderful things that he said? Well, I'll show you in a second. But Yuval has come out, and he's somebody obviously promoted by the World Economic Forum. He's buddies with supposed truthers Russell Brand. He's buddies with the Gateses of the world, the Obamas of the world. Of course he is. Why is he? Well, because he's one of them. And he's out there talking about the world being on the verge of a new religion that's going to be started by artificial intelligence. Does that sound to you potentially like the one world religion? Because remember, there would be one world religion under the worship of the Antichrist and a lot of worshiping, of the Antichrist. And a lot of people over the years have talked about the Antichrist actually being artificial intelligence. I do not argue with that statement whatsoever. Obviously, I don't know, and I don't want to sit here. We can all take guesses on who the Antichrist is, but when it's revealed, we'll all know. Those of us with the Holy Spirit and have discernment, we'll all know. And some people are like, it's already been revealed. Well, maybe it has. Maybe it has. I haven't seen it yet, but there's signs that point towards a lot of different people. Now, some of these people you look at, like the Elon Musk of the world, might already be transhuman, right? How do we know? How do we know? Yes or no? But let's look back at some of the stuff that Yuval Noah Harari has said over the years. Absolutely frightening stuff, but of course this guy's allowed to say it and allowed to mock Christianity, of course, because that's all that they seem to do these days.
You have a small elite that pushes things in its own interests, even if it doesn't benefit the vast majority of the population. This has happened so many times previously in history, and it's probably going to happen again. One of the biggest dangers to the planet today is this technological utopia, because probably for the elite it will work, if bad comes to worse, then when the flood comes, the scientists will build a Noah's Ark for the elite, leaving the rest to drown, the rest of the people and then the rest of the ecosystem. But they are likely to be able to construct this technological Noah's Ark, which is probably what much of the elite is counting on. COVID is critical because this is what convinces people to accept, to legitimize total biometric surveillance. If we want to stop this epidemic, we need not just to monitor people, we need to monitor what's happening under their skin. What we have seen so far is corporations and governments collecting data about where we go, who we meet, what movies we watch. The next phase is the surveillance going under our skin. We now see mass surveillance systems established even in democratic countries, which previously rejected them. And we also see a change in the nature of surveillance. Previously, surveillance was mainly above the skin. Now it's going under the skin. Governments want to know not just where we go or who we meet. Above all, they want to know what is happening under our skin. What's our body temperature? What's our blood pressure? What is our medical condition? Now humans are developing even bigger powers than ever before. We are really acquiring divine powers of creation and destruction. We are really upgrading humans into gods. We are acquiring, for instance, the power to re-engineer life. I know that in recent years, we saw populist politicians undermining deliberately the trust that people have in important institutions like universities, like respectable media outlets. These populist politicians told people that, say, scientists are this small elite disconnected from the real people. I mean, all this story about Jesus rising from the dead and being the Son of God, this is fake news. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will.
So that's Yuval, who should be in prison for some of the things that he said. But let's look at this story here about the world being on the verge of a new religion that started by artificial intelligence writing its own sacred texts. So the world is on the verge of a new religion created by artificial intelligence, the historian Yuval Noah Harari has claimed. And why is he a historian? The academic, known for his best-selling book *Sapiens*, said software such as ChatGPT could attract worshippers by writing its own sacred texts. Speaking at a science conference, he said AI had crossed a new frontier by gaining mastery of our language and was now capable of using it to shape human culture. And they are already doing this in a sense. Now, they're not shaping it yet with a supposed religion, but you look at all the things that they're doing through technology, how they're brainwashing people, and it all obviously has to do with the do-without-will mindset, right? The perverse, the insanity that they're promoting, and they're sharing it all over social media, and they're telling you, be you, be yourself, and they're convincing people that there's something that they're not. And that continues to grow and fester and fester and fester into what ends up being a one-world religion, a narcissistic religion that is really a religion that worships the Antichrist. So Dr. Harari used the event to add his voice to growing calls for urgent regulation over the sector, which experts have warned is amid a dangerous arms race. And let me just point out on that, we have, the one guy from Apple, Steve Wozniak, the guy who made the first Apple computer, cost $666.66, and just said it was because he liked the number, right? Wink, wink. Apple, they make it the forbidden fruit. That's the whole representation of Apple.
So Steve Jobs went in to sell him some of our little boards that we built for $20. He said, no, people want to come in, they want to buy it pre-built. They want to buy the thing ready to go. It cost us $250 to build maybe, we'd sell it for $500. And then the retail price was $666.66 because I, as a mathematician, like repeating digits. And that was what it should be.
But anyway, we have him, we have Elon Musk, we have Bill Gates. All these guys have come out and talked about the dangers. These people who don't care about our best interest. These people who have obviously allowed this stuff to happen and continue to allow it and enhance technology, which we know is part of the fallen angel system here. This type of artificial intelligence, we see transhumanism, all this stuff, this type of technology is not just dangerous to humanity. They want it to be shoved down your throat so much that technology is an advancement in humanity that people just continue to ask for more and more tech. And if you've noticed, obviously I've covered over the years, how they've put more and more tech in our homes, more people have just put it in willingly, imprisoning themselves in their homes. And this is going to end up, of course, with people putting technology inside their body. And obviously, as we all know, a lot of people already have. But you see a lot of these big tech people now coming out and warning about it. The artificial intelligence godfather, they call him, from Google, recently came out, and he spoke about how AI was going to kill us.
Joining us now to discuss Jeffrey Hinton. Jeffrey, thanks so much for joining us. So you left your job at Google in part because you say you want to focus solely on your concerns about AI. You've spoken out saying that AI could manipulate or possibly figure out a way to kill humans. How could it kill humans?
Well, eventually, if it gets to be much smarter than us, it'll be very good at manipulation because it will have learned that from us. And very few examples of a more intelligent thing being controlled by a less intelligent thing. And it knows how to program, so it'll figure out ways of getting around restrictions we put on it. It'll figure out ways of manipulating people to do what it wants.
So what do we do? Do we just need to pull the plug on it right now? Do we need to put in far more restrictions and backstops on this? How do we solve this problem?
It's not clear to me that we can solve this problem. I believe we should put a big effort into thinking about ways to solve the problem. I don't have a solution at present. I just want people to be aware that this is a really serious problem and we need to be thinking about it very hard. I don't think we can stop the progress. I didn't sign the petition saying we should stop working on AI because if people in America stop, people in China wouldn't. It's very hard to verify whether people are doing it.
Steve Wozniak, one of the co-founders of Apple, is also speaking out about the dangers he fears will come from AI. Take a listen.
Now, AI is another more powerful tool. It's going to be used by those people, for basically really evil purposes. And I hate to see technology being used that way. It shouldn't be. And probably some types of regulation are needed.
It sounds like you agree.
I agree with that.
Yeah. What should that regulation look like?
I'm not an expert on how to do regulation. I'm just a scientist who suddenly realized that these things are getting smarter than us. I want to sort of blow the whistle and say we should worry seriously about how we stop these things getting control over us. And it's going to be very hard. And I don't have the solutions. I wish I did.
So these are, we're talking about an artificial intelligence having the capability to kill us. Artificial intelligence having the capability to start its own religion, which would be the one world religion, I would assume, right? Are people ever, could the Amish look more above and beyond smarter than everybody else? I mean, I'm sure a lot of us when we were younger looked at the Amish like, what's their deal? What's going on with them? Yeah? Well, I'm not saying that everything they do is 100% correct, but staying off the grid, staying away from tech, obviously couldn't have been a smarter move. And unfortunately for the rest of us, we still depend on technology. We can all sit there and be like, I don't really depend on it. Well, you're listening to me on the internet, so I'm on here, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite and pretend like I don't depend on technology. Maybe not as much as other people, because, I'm not on a cell phone and doing that kind of stuff, but I still use technology, and all of us do, because you're here listening, right? So the Amish obviously had it better, or at least had it figured out before we did. He goes on to say, in the future, we might see the first cults and religions in history whose revered texts were written by a non-human intelligence. That is, I have no doubt about that. Of course, religions throughout history claim that their holy books were written by unknown human intelligence. This was never true before. This could become true very, very quickly with far-reaching consequences. So why don't we stop it then if all these people who are behind, responsible for funding all this stuff, quantum computers, etc., why don't they stop it? Oh, right, because they don't want to. So this is almost like a version of sigil magic where they're warning you about what it's going to do, and everybody just continues to go about their day instead of saying, we need to shut this down now. We need to grab pitchforks. We need to create giant EMPs so that we can wipe out their tech. Oh, no. No, everyone just continues like, oh, that's interesting. Until the things at your front door, right? We already see them, rolling out these, just like they showed in, I believe it was Black Mirror, rolling out these robotic dogs and things like that all around the world, police dogs, et cetera, RoboCops, literally. Nobody seems concerned yet. Unbelievable. They say, speaking at the Frontiers Forum event in Switzerland, he warned machines now had the tools to cocoon us in a Matrix-like world of illusions. Already in it. Already in a Matrix-like world of illusions, because everything we're seeing on the television, all the things we're being told is really happening, is all formulated, it's all manipulated, it's all created and staged. So we're living in an illusion. They go on to say, referring to the 1999 sci-fi film The Matrix, the Hollywood blockbuster depicts a dystopian future in which humanity is unknowingly trapped inside a simulated reality that intelligent machines have created to distract humans while using their bodies as an energy source, right? And of course that has to do, we know what they're talking about, using us as an energy source, what they're going to put in our body, the nanobot tech and the graphene. He said, contrary to what some conspiracy theories assume, oh, you mean conspiracy facts? You don't really need to implant chips in people's brains in order to control them or to manipulate them. Oh, interesting, thanks for confessing it. Then why do we all get struck? And I'm not saying that you need to have a chip implanted either. I believe that it's, well, it could be, obviously, it doesn't have to be a chip implanted. It could be through a syringe to have it implanted in you, because it's so small that you can do it that way. But if people like us who are talking about it it's a conspiracy theory, why are we all being silenced? And why we have been dealing with so many hoops to jump through? So he says, for thousands of years, prophets and poets and politicians have used language and storytelling in order to manipulate and to control people and to reshape society. Now AI is likely to be able to do it. And once it can, it doesn't need to send killer robots to shoot us. It can get humans to pull the trigger. Great. Calling for tighter regulation, he said, we need to act quickly before AI gets out of our control. It's already out of our control, because it's so much more advanced than they show you. What do you think? They're going to come out and tell us that they can do this type of stuff and mind control you and do this and that? I mean, why would they admit to it? They're already doing it. Look at what the insanity we're living in, right? Look at the stuff they already tell us with your DNA and what they can do with it. They're putting a little something in your body. You think that they can't do more than that? Oh, they can do way more than that. That's just what they tell you. Remember, everything they tell you, they're 20 more years, at least 50 more years advanced than what they tell you they're capable of doing. Okay? And they're never going to fully admit to what they're capable of doing, because then literally people would band together and go against these people for crimes against humanity. But this, in general, is a crime against humanity, what they're doing with artificial intelligence, is it not? The guy goes on to say, similarly, governments must immediately ban the release into the public domain of any revolutionary AI tools before they are made safe. Oh, that would sound like a good idea, but they don't even get into the other stuff about AI, about the dangers of it, as far as just even the most basic things, right? Like, why would we want technology that's able to take away jobs from humans, right? Well, I get it that the majority of liberal people don't want to work and want everything handed to them, so you could look at and they're like, oh, that's great, because they don't have to worry about money, because they get, paid for by our government, they fund them, right? But shouldn't the majority of people in general just be against the fact that robots are taking over human jobs, and they're bragging about the fact that sooner or later there's going to be delivery people or trucks, etc., that things are going to be delivered by drones? I mean, and sooner or later robots are going to have more rights than humans, so if you think you're going to shoot a drone, which I plan on doing, by the way, if you think you're going to shoot one down, well, you're going to end up in jail for first-degree murder. Oh yeah, it's going to get that insane. I mean, do you think that I'm making it up that it's not going to get that insane? We're talking about if men can have babies or not, okay? Can't get more insane than that. So here we have Yuval talking about artificial intelligence creating a new religion. This sounds great, right? This is just what we need. And the world's on the verge of a new religion started by AI writing. Oh, it sounds a lot like the one world religion. Sounds a lot like the Antichrist. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless you and your families.
At the peak of my career, I wanted to be the best. Now, I'm just looking to enjoy myself. 30 plus years being in this business, I do have a lot of stories.
The Undertaker, rest in peace.
How's retirement treating you?
For the most part, good. I knew the end was going to come, but I wasn't preparing myself for it. I always just thought I was going to be able to do it.
You think you could still do it?
I could do it, but I'm not coming out of retirement.
Incredible career as the dead man, incredible career as the American badass.
My legacy is going to be wrapped around the dead man, but I had so much fun being the American badass.
What do you think of the work Cody's doing?
I think his bigger run will be as a heel. Who's the most underrated? That's a tough question.
What chair do we have you on there?
Who am I on?
You are on.
I'm not on myself, am I?
You're sitting on your own face.
I'm sitting on my own face. That's disgusting.
That's Survivor Series 2015. What am I on?
It's the 25th anniversary. You're like on Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell 2010. Oh, I'm sitting on you too.
Yeah.
Should I pick other people to sit on?
Well, they're probably going to have a hard time in this job finding different faces. Well, there was a WrestleMania over there.
I love that you keep these chairs too.
Oh yeah. These are really cool, and they've served their purpose. Like most of the time, they're decoration. But like if we have a kids party or something like that, we'll break them out and be really vain about all of our faces on the chairs. And people it's funny that my daughter, not all of her friends, realize who her dad is, and they're like, "Why's your dad on a chair?" She'll have to explain to them, and then they look at me just like, "Oh, no, it's just Mr. Mark."
What do they think you are otherwise?
I think this guy's dad. Yeah. And then they look, and then the parents will pull it. No, this is Mr. Mark. It's so scary.
Well, how's retirement treating you?
For the most part, good. I have spurts though now where I'm out more than I was the last few years that I actually wrestled. I'll get busy, and it's like, dang, when is the last time I've been home? But then I'll have stretches like I'm on right now where I've been home for a month and a half, and I get into a rhythm of doing things, and it's nice. And then as soon as I get in that rhythm, I'll get bombarded with a million appearances that I have to go do.
And the podcast is keeping you busy. You're a podcaster, a YouTuber.
Well, that's a stretch, Chris. I don't. Yeah, it keeps me busy.
You're crushing it. You're the number one wrestling podcast on the planet.
Well, I mean, most of that has to do with the fact that I was probably on TV for 30 years more so than it is the quality of the content that we're putting out.
Well, you tell amazing stories. People tune in to 6 Feet Under because they know you're going to tell great stories.
Well, I think I've got a million of them after 30 plus years of being in this business, and then not saying much for the majority of that period of time. I do have a lot of stories. It's just the hard part for me is remembering all of them. And it's funny, a lot of times I'll be in the middle of a story that will spawn like another story, and I'm like, man, I completely forgotten about that. And then I try to kind of keep it in my mind so that I can write it down, because also I have to share stories with my podcast and my show. And I'm like, dang man, I'm really dwindling down the
you get fact checked by people? They're like, oh, you said this happened in 98, it was really 97.
I'm trying to think, where was this? This happened.
This is a call for welcome to today's show. I've been talking about how cannibalism is going mainstream. I've been talking about how they're pushing it, talking about how they're going to use mind control tactics to convince people that it's in their best interest health-wise to do it. Talked about and showed that clip from Soylent Green of people eating people. Now, you will not believe, I mean, how many times have I talked about how they can get away with anything by calling it art? I mean, these people, like, they can pretty much, like, you know, if they felt like it, molest a child and call it some type of an artistic expression, and people will be fine with it. It's amazing. They tag art with just about everything they do. It's expressive art. It's this type of art. Get a load of this. This guy had a live Facebook stream where he cuts the flesh off of people's bodies, fries it, and then feeds it to those people. So those people are eating their own flesh. I kid you not. Now, this happened on Facebook Live, and it can be seen on YouTube. Isn't that a little bizarre? You think maybe YouTube would have restrictions against having that kind of disturbing content up? People message me all the time. I try to share your videos on Facebook, and I get blocked. I put links to your channel on there. I get blocked. But this is okay. A man. I mean, look at this. And people are in the audience watching this. It says cops are investigating this now. But apparently there's nothing illegal going on. I mean, can you believe that? They're investigating, but they said there's nothing illegal going on here. So a guy cutting people's flesh because they're willingly allowing him to do it, frying it, and then feeding it to them is perfectly okay. This guy is a 33-year-old, wink wink, artist who staged this performance on March 6th. And it says stomach churning footage shows the guy putting on a white forensic suit before approaching two assistants with a scalpel. He then cuts a chunk of meat from each of their backs without anesthetic and frying it in a large black pan. He then forces each assistant to stand before dropping the fried flesh into their mouths. And folks, they're calling this an art show, an expressive type of art show. You can't make this stuff up. They are pushing this. These people exist, cannibals. They're putting this stuff in our food. They are going to make everybody live the way that they live. And it's a scary thought that this type of stuff is going on. It's being allowed on YouTube. It's being allowed on Facebook. It's being promoted. And they're normalizing it, right? Because the first reaction people have is, ooh, right? And then they keep hearing more and more about it, right? They hear this, then they put on Netflix and see Santa Clarita Diet on. And they go, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, maybe there are benefits to eating flesh, you know? Those people ate their own flesh, and they're perfectly fine. I mean, they fried it, so it's got to taste good, right? Everything tastes good fried, they'll say. Try fried fingers, fried, lard from your back. People are eating their own blubber, for crying out loud. Guy just had a bite of his love handle. But remember, when they call it art, it means that it's okay, that we should all endorse it, because the person is having an artistic expression. Right? That's how this article ends. It says, I mean, you really can't make it up. It's so absurd, but it says, authorities in the county are probing the show, but cops can't find anything illegal about it. The show, this is a show, folks. People being cut with a scalpel, being forced to eat their own fried blubber off of their backs is a show. The show explores what would happen to humanity if global food stocks ran out. The art show, the artistic expression that's being put on by this person who's responsible for it, suggests that people will resort to cannibalism in the face of extinction, right? People will resort to cannibalism in the face of extinction. Agenda 2030, depopulation, chemtrailing, all these things that we're seeing going on with farmers and Monsanto and some, we have starving people in other countries who need, they need food to survive, and apparently we can't give them any, or they can't grow their own, so they can just start eating one another, or eating their own, cut yourself, eat some of your body, it'll grow back. I mean, it's insanity. I mean, I don't know what's next. I thought that this wasn't even a real story, then I looked into it more, and this really did happen. This really was put on Facebook. There were people in attendance at this show live. I mean, what's going through their mind? Don't got something to do on a Saturday night? Let's go watch people eat themselves? Are you kidding me? Maybe we should start putting restrictions on what is art and what is not art. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point, some of these Satanists who call themselves artists, they start just photographing their poop and telling people that it's art and then selling it. I mean, why not, right? They could do and say whatever they want. We can't. We can't speak out against it. We can't have a difference of opinion. We can't question the news. No. But these people who call it art can do whatever they want and get away with it. So no crime has been committed here, folks, apparently. Apparently it's perfectly legal to cut yourself, cut pieces of your body off, fry it, and eat it. Because this guy's doing it. He's making a living probably. He's probably a homeowner. Funded by our tax money. Or I should say funded by the New World Order. I mean, is anybody concerned about the two people who are volunteers for this art show? Not only does the guy cut them and remove flesh from their body, they actually sit there and watch him fry their flesh and cook their flesh as blood is dripping down their backs. I mean, what is going on in the world in 2018? You can't make this stuff up. I'm at a loss for words. Usually I'm rambling and ranting, and I'm speechless over this. I'm speechless that this goes on. I'm speechless that people were in attendance. I'm speechless that these people were fine with this. I mean, we got these insane asylums, don't we? You think maybe this qualifies to put you in a padded room? What are you here for? Well, I was in an art show, and I let a guy cut about a small portion of my back, okay? And then he cooked it in vegetable oil, and I ate it. Okay. I mean, the world is losing its mind. There's no way around it. We live in the dumbest time period that's ever existed, right? And remember, everything they do is inverted and flipped. So the scary part is that all the people running around out there actually think that we're the smartest generation. Oh, we've got the smartphones and we've got technology. Oh, it's not like those Pilgrim days or Little House on the Prairie days. We're the smartest generation. We're coming up with new ideas and apps. I mean, these people can't even freely think for themselves. We live in the dumbest time period. And I'm telling you, cannibalism is going to be mainstream and normal. It is. Here's reports from doctors talking about the health benefits. Hey, it helps your skin. Hey, it helps erectile dysfunction. Oh, hey, it's helping with that. And you'll live longer and it fights cancer. And everybody will go, oh, it tastes just like chicken, right? Show it on TV. Oh, it tastes normal. It's not a big deal. Oh, and we can stop starvation? Boy, sign me up. And just like that, like dominoes, one by one, this zombie nation that we live in will be on board. But until that day, we'll still continue to see it getting normalized, right? And we'll see a Santa Clarita Diet. We'll see more zombie things. And we'll see art shows where people are literally eating themselves. I don't know what else to possibly say at this point. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.
Yeah, it's a Saturday afternoon. Yeah, you might want to do something with your time.
Well, Sasso does the best Jesse Ventura.
Who's that?
How does he not know that you're doing impressions of him?
Because I live in the Baja 6 months out of the year.
The anniversary of your match with Red Hart on Nitro just passed.
Yep, that was absolutely nuts.
You wrestled arguably the greatest wrestler of all time.
Let's start like it is. The greatest pro wrestler of all time.
If I just list off some people, can you do impressions of him?
We can see
Jake the Snake Roberts.
a victim.
Undertaker.
You're in my yard.
Triple H.
We're excited about this new merger.
Scott Hall.
Look at the clothes. Look at the clothes. I'm a success.
We're wrestling fans, and we love a good movie about pro wrestling. Have you heard about the new movie called Queen of the Ring, which opens up nationwide on March 7th? It tells the incredible true story of Mildred Burke. She's a single mother from the Midwest who had one dream, to become a pro wrestler. But this was the 1930s, and women's wrestling was outlawed across the country. That didn't stop our friend Mildred. No, she defied the odds, trained in secret, and fought her way to the top, proving that women did belong in the ring. And she made history by becoming a champion and paving the way for every woman in wrestling today. You'll also see some familiar faces in there like Toni Storm, Camille, Naomi, and Jim Cornette. Make sure you check out Queen of the Ring when it opens up in theaters nationwide on March 7th.
I just gotta say thank you for answering my FaceTime.
Of course.
But that day was so ridiculous.
I bet.
I'm with Jesse Ventura. Karrion Kross is there. He's doing Jesse Ventura for Jesse Ventura.
Yeah.
Hey, should I FaceTime Will Sasso? He does the best Jesse Ventura.
And he's like, who's that? I don't know who that is. You'll have to educate me on who that is.
How does he not know that you're doing these impressions of him?
Because I live in the Baja 6 months out of the year. And you know that, Chris. I don't have TV. Why would I watch American TV there? I can't. I don't. We have satellite. I have solar. I'm 4 miles from pavement out there, and I can't watch American news. But I tell you what I can do. I can put my hand into a whale shark's mouth in a lagoon. They love having their gums scratched, and you look into their eyes, and they're intelligent. That's why I don't know who Will Say-So is, or whatever you sasshole, or whatever a name only a proctologist could love. Would you stop?
Well, me and Gene. He goes, I don't have a cell phone. I said, well, how are we supposed to reach you?
Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, you're not supposed to reach me. I'll be down in the Baja riding my electric bike. I charge my electric bike, and then I ride out and I get mangoes, and I bring them back to the house. Of course, I always see large birds, and I think they're drones. I'm afraid of drones, because if you say the wrong thing about the government and then you go picking mangoes, you'll see an American drone. You can tell they're huge. And I'm like, that's not a bird. That's not a tropical bird of any kind. That's not even a raven or a crow. That's a drone coming to kill me. So no, I don't watch the American news. Oh, shit.
Oh, my God.
Sorry. Sasso came on and just pulled out a bunch of hack.
Can you do that for 5 hours?
You got it, yes. It's the Jesse... You know what? The thing to do would be to do the Jesse Ventura podcast, because he's not here for 6 months.
That's true.
Find out when he's not here, and just put up hi, I'm Jesse Ventura. Welcome to the Jesse Ventura podcast. I finally have a podcast. Audio only.
Of course.
Karrion Kross and I will take turns. Who's doing it? I'm like, I'm fucking busy. Karrion's like, yeah, I got this week. Okay. Yeah, I was in... we're here. I'm back home in Minneapolis. No, I'm not. Anyway.
It's so funny how that all came together, because I was talking with his son about, he's like, Jesse is interested in doing your podcast.
That's amazing.
I can't believe it. Yeah. It was actually the day that you were on my show.